You know, we oftentimes see a lot of crazy things happen in parking lots, but this one's one of the crazier ones that we've seen in a while. Hey friends, my name is Andy Rozak. I'm the Executive Director over at the Institute for Childhood Preparedness, and today we're looking at a news story out of Louisiana. So let me set the stage for us. We have a sheriff's deputy. Now he's off duty in his own personal vehicle. He has a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And he pulls up to the 2-year-old's child care program and is going to drop off his child, gets out of the vehicle and leaves it running with the 5-year-old and the 9-year-old inside. While dad goes into the child care program to drop off that 2-year-old, the 5-year-old and the 9-year-old decide they're going to entertain themselves, and they quickly discover that dad had left his firearm in the vehicle. So I'm not sure exactly what happens. The news stories are a little unclear, but we do know at some point the firearm actually gets shot from dad's car in the middle of drop-off time, and the bullet actually strikes the director/owner of the child care program's vehicle. Now, thankfully, nobody was killed, nobody was injured, but boy, oh boy, we have a lot of lessons to think about from this one, don't we? So let's think about some lessons from this one. Let's start with the parking lot. Now, parking lots are kind of the Wild West, quite honestly, and it's a really good idea to make sure that you have eyes on your parking lot. For many of us, that's going to be the first sign that something is a little bit out of the ordinary. So if you can engage your parents, have them be your eyes and ears, have them be looking at the parking lot. Do things look out of place? Are there people that are out of place? Are there people sitting in cars and you have occupied cars in the parking lot? All of this are things to be paying attention to. Now, I don't have to tell you that the parking lot can be a dangerous place. In fact, 22% of school shootings actually do happen in the parking lots. And we spend a lot of time in our situational awareness course and in our active shooter course talking about ways to make that parking lot more secure. One of the big lessons out of this one as well is we can't leave children in running vehicles, right? Running vehicles are just a no-no when it comes to our kids. Yes, they can accidentally pull the gear shift and put the vehicle into park, into drive or into reverse. But also we know that carjackings are a pretty common occurrence. And it's not like the old days, right? The old days it used to break in with a screwdriver and hotwire your car and all that kind of stuff. Well, look, the technology has gotten such that it's really hard to hotwire a car anymore. So thieves are looking for targets of opportunity. They're looking for easy targets. And if you leave your vehicle running, whether it's a gas station or a child care program or wherever, I got to tell you, you're making yourself an easy target. And there's been so many times. I mean, look at last year alone. Our friends over at Kids in Cars have documented almost 270 times last year where cars were stolen with children inside. And the scariest one was out of California. It took almost 4 hours to reunite that child with their family. Boy, oh boy, the thieves don't want your babies, they don't want your kids, but they do want your cars. And once they identify and find out that you got a little one in the back seat, who knows what's going to happen? And nothing is scarier than finding out that they pulled over, they took the kid out of the car seat and left him or her strapped into the car seat on the side of the road, which has happened in some of these situations. So let's not leave vehicles running. Let's not leave vehicles running with kids inside. I know that the weather can be hot or can be cold, and it is a temptation, but that's really not a good idea. The second big thing to think about is just leaving kids in cars generally. And again, time and time again, we see so many needless hot car deaths from kids that are in cars. We always say, oh, I'm going to run in here, I'm going to run in there, it'll just take a second. Well, you and I both know that it never just takes a second, and in some cases, a second is all we need for bad things to happen. So we spent a lot of time and effort at the Institute for Childhood Preparedness trying to prevent these avoidable tragedies. We've got online courses that are 100% free for you to take, looking at how to prevent deaths in hot cars, looking at how to use signs as reminders, all sorts of great infographics and resources and blog posts and even online 100% free on-demand content. So I'd encourage you to check those out. Another big point we see from this one is we gotta make sure that we're being responsible. And I'm not getting into the political side here, guns and this and that. I'm just saying, look, if you own a firearm, you gotta be responsible about it, right? Same thing I would say if you have a pool, or if you have chemicals, or if you have candles, or if you have electrical outlets that aren't covered. As a parent, as a responsible adult, we owe it to our children to make things as safe as we possibly can. And leaving your firearm totally unprotected, totally out in the open for any child to discover is a big, big, big no-no. You know, every day in this country we have 19 children that are either killed or injured due to accidental firearm discharges. And that's something that we're very passionate about stopping at the Institute. We've partnered with our great friends over at Cook Children's Hospital and one of the leading experts in the world on this topic, Dr. Guzman. And we've got on-demand courses 100% free for both parents and for child care providers on things that we can do today to help prevent these needless tragedies. So if you are a gun owner, you got to be a responsible gun owner for certain. And the last point out of this article, you know, this child care program actually did have a camera in their parking lot, but when police came to investigate this incident, what they had found was that the system just wasn't functioning properly, and or the footage had actually been recorded over. So for those of you with cameras at your facilities, in your parking lots, you got to be aware of the limitations. You know, this was a big issue down in Parkland, Florida at that high school shooting. The police got there, they had surveillance cameras, they were tracking the killer, trying to figure out where he was going, and they could just never catch up to him. And what they found out in retrospect is that the cameras at that high school were actually on an 18-minute delay and nobody knew. So if you have cameras, that's wonderful, that's great. It's the best thing that law enforcement has going for them. It's a great deterrent of crime, but you got to be aware of the limitations. Can you log in remotely? Can you live stream? Is it truly live stream or is there a delay or a buffer? What are the storage capacities? Are you going to maintain that footage for a day, 7 days, a month? How do you download that footage if you need to get to it? So a really important part to think about there as well if you do have those camera systems. So a lot of lessons learned out of Louisiana in this unfortunate accident. It could have been much, much worse, but we hope that we take these lessons, we hope that we can apply them, we hope that we share them with our staff and with our parents, and we try to keep everybody as safe as we can. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. My name is Andy Rozak, and I'll see you again soon.